Today we're going to talk about the safe loading and the securing of steel fabrication loads. Here's why securement matters. When we load steel, we are not just sending material. We are sending a potential hazard if it's not secured correctly. A shifting or a falling load can cause devastating accidents on the road, resulting in severe injury or death to our drivers and to the public. So our commitment to safety has to extend to the highway. The goal is to ensure every load leaves the yard secured to withstand sudden braking, turns, and acceleration. Let's talk about the preparation checklist before we ever load anything. Before any material touches the trailer, we need to do a thorough check. This includes the trailer inspection. That is, check the deck for damage, excessive wear, ice, snow. The surface must provide adequate friction. Ensure all the rub rails, the stake pockets, and the anchor points are free of obstruction and also structurally sound. Verify tire pressure and the brake function. Then also, with regard to your securement gear, that also needs to be inspected. Chains, if you're using chains, inspect the links for stretching, gouges, or cracks. Don't use damaged chains. Binders, load binders. Check for bent handles, worn clevis pins, or cracked components. Lubricate ratcheting binders if you need to do that. Then also webbing straps if you're using those. Inspect them for cuts, abrasions, snags, damaged stitching, and then the load assessment. You know the weight of the entire load and ensure it's below the trailers and the chains or straps working load limit. Identify which parts are bundled, loose, or have sharp edges that will require edge protection. Then let's talk about safe loading procedures. Proper placement is the foundation of secure transport. That is, weight distribution. Center the load's weight over the trailer axles, if we're talking about tandems. Avoid placing too much weight on the front or the kingpin or the very rear. Keep the load as low to the deck as possible. Heavier parts need to go on the bottom. Then stacking and nesting, square and straight parts, that is beams or channels, should be stacked tight and they should be aligned. Use dunnage between layers of steel to protect finished surfaces and allow chains to pass underneath for better tension. Never stack materials so high that they obscure the driver's view or exceed the legal height limits. And then also there's edge protection. Use heavy-duty corner protectors, plastic, wood, or steel, on any sharp objects where chains or straps pass over a load. This prevents strap damage and protects the components from crushing or being marred by the chain tension. Then load securing. Now we're talking about tie-down requirements. Now, we must comply with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration and Department of Transportation regulations. Primarily, the tie-down rule is 14 CFR 393.110. This has to do with the working load limit and tie-down count. The total aggregate working load limit of all tie-downs must be at least 50% of the weight of the cargo. The minimum rule is always use at least 2 tie-downs regardless of the load size. The first article rule, which is for longer loads, is if a single item is 10 feet or shorter, you need 1 tie-down. If a single item is longer than 10 feet, you need 2 tie-downs. For every additional 10 feet of cargo length beyond the first 10, add 1 more tie-down. That is, a 35-foot beam needs 4 tie-downs. Then angle of securement. Chain should be at an angle of no more than 45 to 60 degrees from the horizontal. A flatter angle, that is closer to 45 degrees, provides better restraint against horizontal movement. Then tension the chains evenly at both sides of the load using the load binders. Then secure loose parts, that is small parts, loose parts, brackets, fittings, bolts, must be secured in sturdy boxes, drums, or covered cages, and then those containers must be secured to the trailer deck separately. Then also there's the final inspection and the on-the-road checks. Before departing, visually inspect every tie-down point There should be no slack and the binders should be fully engaged but not overstrained. Check the lights and signals that they're clear and functional. Ensure all tools and extra securement devices are stored safely in the headache rack or the storage boxes. And then the driver has the responsibility. The driver must stop and inspect the load and securement devices within 50 miles of starting the trip. The driver must re-inspect the load every time the vehicle changes drivers, when the vehicle is driven for 3 hours, or after driving for 150 miles, whichever comes first. Bearing these things in mind, we ought to be very careful about how we load and how we check what we're loading and the vehicle itself so that we can avoid any disasters on the highway.